Professor Gillespie is an expert on international law and the laws of war. He joined me earlier and I asked him whether the US was justified in seizing Maduro.
In theory, this is an illegal invasion. The problem is in practice that there'll be no repercussions for Mr. Trump. You can't use justifications of self-defense in the war on drugs or the like to take over someone else's country and extradite their leader. This is something that should have gone through a multilateral process, and it hasn't. It's a unilateral action, probably illegal in theory, but very unlikely that there'll be a penalty for Mr. Trump in this, especially at the international level.
Trump says the US will now run Venezuela, but the country's vice president says it won't be colonised. What do you think will happen next?
I think for Mr. Trump to try to run the country would be a disaster. Often what happens in these situations is that those who go in thinking that the liberators suddenly find that they're the target of an insurgency and a point of rebellion or reaction. The best scenario would be that if he really is sincerely concerned about the Venezuelan people, he would organise an election, he would let an international or regional process oversee it, and then let them determine their own future.
Do you think there's a chance this could spread beyond Venezuela? Will the Trump administration suddenly feel emboldened to go after other leaders it doesn't like?
This is it's called gunboat diplomacy. It's something we haven't seen since the end of the 19th century, early 20th century. It's the worst type of international rule that you can have. But the risk to me is that now he looks at other countries and he thinks, if I don't like you, then I can just push you over, extradite you and bring you to my justice in my country, even though you're from another country and maybe its ruler. Say we were disturbed by the way that Fiji or Samoa or Tonga was dealing with illegal drugs that were coming down to Australia or New Zealand, and we just decide to go in there and take over their regime and then say we're running it for the good of you. You could imagine the uproar, but because it's America, we will turn the other way and go, well, they're kind of our friend. But friends don't behave with values like this. I'm not here to defend Maduro. I think he's a disreputable man and he led a corrupt regime. But this is not the way you deal with it, because if you deal with it this way, others will see it and others will follow. So the risk here is not what happens in Venezuela. It's what happens next in Ukraine or the South China Sea or the East China Sea.
What does it mean for New Zealand then? What do you believe the response for our politicians should be?
I think it's good to stand up and say we support international law. It would be better if we defined what we thought international law actually was, to say whether we thought this was an illegal invasion or not, and whether Mr. Maduro has diplomatic immunity or not. After that, I think it's about trying to find a peaceful way process whereby the people of Venezuela can determine their own future and supporting that. Your worst case scenario right now is that the territory becomes part of the United States, either in a de facto or a permanent kind of manner.
Yeah, massive news day. Professor Gillespie from Waikato University, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.